Now, can paying someone a compliment rebound on you horribly? Well, it has for one man who said that a barrister's photograph on a professional networking website was, quote, stunning. Charlotte Proudman, however, says she felt objectified by it.
I am on that site, as I stated in the message, for professional purposes. I am seeking career advancement and sharing my skills and experience with others. I am not on there to be objectified through my physical appearance or through my body. And women, all too often, are seen through their body as opposed to their own skills and expertise.
Well, the man in question was Alexander Carter-Silk. He's since said that most people post pretty unprofessional pictures on LinkedIn. My comment was aimed at the quality of the presentation, which was misinterpreted. That's not washing with a lot of people, though. So do you have to be wary, then, of paying someone a physical compliment in a modern working environment? Is it best just to avoid that altogether, or is this woman just simply being uptight? Let's discuss this with Abby Inglis from the women's organisation in Liverpool, which works to promote women's economic development. Hello, Abby.
Hello.
And also Peter Lloyd, who's the Liverpool-born author of Stand By Your Manhood, a book which argues that men need to fight back against aggressive feminism and reclaim their place. Hello there, Peter.
Hi there. Hi, Simon.
Good to talk to you. Abby, first of all, should she just take the compliment?
No, she shouldn't just take the compliment. It's not a compliment anyway. It's a commentary, and it's completely out of place in LinkedIn, which is supposed to be a professional tool for networking and business people.
Okay, so in a professional environment, the rule really should be never compliment on anybody's appearance, male or female.
It's not the point of it at all. It's completely got nothing to do with what she's doing and what LinkedIn is for. And in that professional environment, it's out of place and it's not needed.
Well, how about sort of casually in the office? If a man was to say to you, "Oh, your hair looks nice, Abby," how would you react to that?
I think it's in how individuals want to react and how individuals feel about taking that compliment. For me personally, if someone says my hair looks nice today, that's fine. I say thank you very much. Some people don't feel comfortable taking that compliment, so that's up to them.
Yeah.
I think you do have to toe a line in a professional sort of business environment.
Mm-hmm. I cited an example earlier in the show where I was reprimanded by a woman after I complimented another woman on her hair that day because she felt excluded by the whole thing.
Oh, right.
not that my praise means much, but she seemed to think that I was wrong to kind of comment on some people but not on others.
Oh, I think that's just that one person, perhaps. Yeah, that's just sort of not the same thing, is it? Because you're not doing it to leave her out. But I'm sure it wasn't personal.
Yeah. All right. Peter Lloyd, then author of Stand By Your Manhood. Is this woman uptight, or really, he was judging her on her appearance a little, wasn't he, Peter?
Well, he was being very polite about it, and it wasn't actually that forthcoming. His compliment came after an initial offer of accepting her reaching out for professional guidance. So it was kind of a secondary thing anyway. And, all right, yeah, I kind of agree that maybe it wasn't the most appropriate thing for LinkedIn. But I think what is much more inappropriate is her huge, disproportionate response to it, which has been, A, hysterical, and B, borderline harassment. I mean, to publish a private exchange and identify him in this way. I mean, we hear all the time about revenge porn. This is revenge scorn. It's disgusting. This is like character assassination. And what we're seeing here is, yet again, the goalposts of what's acceptable for straight men to do moving all the time. And we're having women telling men what they can and can't do about their sexuality. I mean, we hear women all the time, commenting about men and commenting about their bosses in a professional capacity. I hear it about the women who work in my office. I hear it all the time. But what we're really hearing is this is about social cleansing of male sexuality, which increasingly is becoming more and more intolerant.
Why do you think men are becoming reluctant now, through this aggressive feminism, many see it, to maybe comment on women or pay them a compliment? Let me just tell you, we had a caller earlier, Peter, and he said that he had said to the woman, come into my office, Wendy, attractive blondes are always welcome in my office. Was that okay?
Well, I mean, obviously that's a joke, but of course it wouldn't have been taken as a joke. It would have been cited as a clear example of their patriarchy, which is absolute nonsense. What feminists call the patriarchy is otherwise known as civilization, which is something men built and women have since augmented and now co-own. So, the reason we're having to have this discussion over the most innocuous compliment is because feminists view everything as offensive and everything men do as offensive. And we're now talking about innocent, innocuous things having huge gravitas and significance. And and it's just not the case.
Yeah, Abby, has this gone too far now? You know, are we all treading on eggshells around this, politically correct landscape?
No, I don't think it has gone too far, and definitely not in this case. Like, I'm taking the standpoint that it was unprofessional for him to say those things, especially in that sphere of LinkedIn. I know people think you're treading on eggshells and stuff, but isn't it better just to take a step back and think about what you're saying and what the consequences might be before you do it? And talking about feminism and feminists as one massive group isn't the way to do it. There are all different strands, people take different viewpoints, but the overarching thing is to be equal to men, not to be like offensive to them, not to attack them. It's to be equal, to have equality.
But this man wasn't being offensive to this woman. He was actually just paying her a compliment. That's all it was. And for her to react in such a ridiculous way, I mean, it's borderline autistic, never mind criminal. I cannot believe a legal professional would publish a private exchange and then cause such a furore over something so insignificant.
What was her reaction disproportionate, Abby, do you think?
I don't think her reaction was disproportionate. I don't know about like the publishing, the private exchange type of thing. I can see where you're coming from there. That might have some sort of boundaries that were crossed there. But I think that it is a good thing for women, and they should be commended for, taking the step up and showing other women what is also happening. Because a lot of the time there's like a shroud of secrecy, and people are afraid to speak up and say, this made me feel this way. Has anyone else experienced it? So she should be commended for doing that. And, about the public-private exchange sort of thing, you might be right on that point, but... Yeah.
I'm sorry, I am absolutely right about that point. I mean, if the genders were reversed in this case and a man published a private exchange and did what she's done to a woman, he would be labelled a misogynist, and there would be national outrage. You would have feminists all over television arguing how unfair it is, and yet when a woman does this to a man, it's just deemed as the sisterhood being strong. That's absolute rubbish. This is called misandry, the equivalent of misogyny, and it's real.
Misandry, yeah, there's a word you don't hear much. Maybe that should be brought into the public lexicon. Abby, thank you for that. That's Abby Inglis and also Peter Lloyd. Now, Abby's from the women's organisation in Liverpool, which works for women's economic development. Peter is a Liverpool-born author of Stand By Your Manhood, a book which says that men need to address this aggressive feminism. I've got to say, I was watching the launch show of Strictly Come Dancing, the first 5 minutes of which, by the way, would probably have paid for BBC local radio in its entirety, but that's another story. And Anita Rani, I think it was, picked a guy, one of the hot male dancers, Gleb, I think his name, and she was fawning over him like nobody's business. It really was Diet Coke break moments. And I did think, if Ainsley Harriott had gone, whoa, when his female dancer was picked, things might have been a bit different. But you might have a thought on that, a view on that. Should this lady just take the compliment, after all? 0151 709 9333. Text in on 81333. Start with Mersey.
Your station, your voice.
BBC Radio Merseyside.